right, welcome everybody to Rev University today. Welcome to all of you in person and online. It's good to see our frequent flyers with us as well as some new faces, so thanks everyone for coming out today. We are so excited to hear a workshop and our featured founder today, but first I just want to introduce anyone who's not familiar with RevRoad, just kind of let you guys know what we're all about here. So we are a sweat equity partner on a mission to achieve the full value of startups. So we can partner with startups to help them get everything they need from marketing, development, legal help, capital raises, and more. So we are super excited to have you all here and looking forward to working with you as well. So a couple of housekeeping items. If you need the bathroom, they're just right here through this door in the lobby, as well as a drinking fountain. Later on, we will have an opportunity for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please just raise your hand and wait for a microphone to be brought to you so that the people online can hear you as well. And one final just exciting announcement, we have our applications open for Fall Entrepreneur Competition. A few of you have probably participated in this competition before. You are able to participate again. If you know someone, have a friend, a family member who is a founder, encourage them to apply. There's a $15,000 grand prize, no strings attached. So it'll be a lot of fun. Okay, first up, we will have our training from RevRoad's VP Investments and Strategic Partnerships. Ike give us a training on surgical sales methodologies, and then we'll have our builder series with the founder of Freshly Picked named Susan Peterson. So I'll turn the time over to Ike. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you, Brittany. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. I hope everyone else online can hear me as well. Every time I talk to founders and entrepreneurs, it seems like the first thing they always say is sales, marketing, sales, marketing. We can never get enough sales and marketing. So I figured I'll talk about sales and see how it goes. If there are any questions, we'll take a couple questions after. I know I lead our investments and strategic partnerships team. It seems like there wouldn't be a lot of sales involved, but there is. And everyone on my team has gone through these principles that we're going to go through, and I hope they're helpful. Let's just go back really quick. If you haven't thought of eComp, think of eComp. If you know a founder, if you know a startup, think of eComp. eComp is more than the prize. It's also glory. And if you happen to win the top three, this is what you go do and plug. Yeah, we won, or we're top three or finalists in RevRoad eComp. That's a badge, let's call it the R badge, that really goes far to whatever else you're doing. All right, let's talk about some sales. Let's talk about brainwaves and understanding brainwave selling. I'm not going to be too technical, but it matters a lot. There are 5 brainwaves that the brain goes through. I'm going to talk about 3, but I'll mention the other 2. Delta is when you are sleeping. Gamma is when you are me, always on, always excited, all the time. It's the highest hertz that you can exhibit in your brain. For those of you who know me, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. But let's talk about these 3 real quick so we can understand what they have to do with selling. They say you have your best ideas in the shower. How many people have heard that? Best ideas in the shower. That's actually true. And it's the alpha brain waves that dictate it. Alpha brain waves, you exhibit them when the brain is starting or when it's slowing down. Alpha brain waves modulate creativity. So when you're starting up or slowing down in the shower, that's why. Those facts are actually true. Then there's theta brain waves. What does theta brain waves control? What do they control? Well, this is what we call autopilot. This is what allows you to daydream, to continue what it is you're doing with your body and have no mental function whatsoever. For those who drive to work and wonder, how did I get here? That's theta. It's just autopilot. The things I do mechanically, the things I do all the time, my brain just says, go ahead and do what you want with your body. I've got the rest of this. I'm going to take you to where you want to go. That's theta. Then we have beta brainwaves. By the way, I will say one thing about theta. It's extremely dangerous to ever sell to someone in theta because they're on autopilot. They've been sold so much, they just shut off, they don't want to think about it, they shut down. The worst decisions people make on autopilot, and they're quick to aggression because you're piercing through the brain and it's controlling a function while trying to have your body manage itself. If you talk to someone in autopilot, they get extremely aggressive. That's why there's so much road rage, because everyone is in autopilot. Beta brainwaves. These are critical to making good decisions and concentrating, right? The most part of life, the honest truth is that we are in autopilot all the time. People are trying to sell us in autopilot all the time. If you're walking through the mall and someone's trying to have you touch lotion or try it out, you're like, no, right? Someone shows everything, like, no. We're just always walking, no. That's an autopilot mechanical response for the brain to walk and move to do what it's doing without you having to think about it. We want people in beta when we're selling to them. We want them in beta all the time because they make good decisions in beta. They have positive responses in beta. So how do you take someone from theta to beta? There is one easy way that will keep them in beta all the time, and that's using someone's name. Every time you use someone's name, it accesses the reticular activating system, RAS, and switches them from theta to beta. How do we know this? How many of you are in a crowd and they can be saying anything and you don't care, you're not listening? That's your brain in autopilot. It's like, yeah, this noise, I deal with noise all the time. You just go do what you're doing and I'll ignore all the rest. Then someone says your name, it pierces through RAS and does what? Hey, who? What? What was that? Hello? That's beta. When you're selling to someone, the importance of using the name is critical, right? You want to go through and say, hey, Mr. Fuller, how you doing? There's some firms that have mastered this. The Ritz-Carlton, you wonder, why are they always using my name? Welcome, Mr. Ikeme. Right this way, Mr. Ikeme. How's everything, Mr. Ikeme? We'll be right up your room, Mr. Ikeme. Constantly. They're trying to make sure the entire time you are in beta. Never theta, always in beta. The easiest way to do it is to use someone's what? Name. And so it might seem like a small thing, but if you actually understand brain science, you're going to close a lot more deals, have people react in a very positive way to the messages that you're saying. So emails, for instance. I've gone through this training with my team. It's never hello team. It's hello, and you list every single person you are sending the email to, then comma. Everyone, because no one's going to remember or activate or come out of theta because we are on autopilot all the time. They're going to skip that email, and they're not going to care. We actually had an exercise. Seth on my team, he sent an email to a client. Did they respond? We changed it. How long did it take him? 5 minutes later? Beta. All right, now we're going to talk about outlier management, or outlier engagement. This is a little math, but not that hard. If you take a normal distribution, this is called a bell curve over here. If you take any data set, normal distribution, it will create, for the most part, this curve. What does that mean? You see that -1 delta at the bottom? That says that 68% of your data set will fall in that segment of numbers. If you go through to the 2 delta, it's called the second standard deviation. That means 95.5 of your data set will fall within second standard deviation. This is the kicker. If you go to 3 standard deviations, it's 99.7% of your data sets will fall within the normal distribution. But why is there a 0.3? What's going on here? Why is there a 0.3? It looks like we're missing something, 0.03, or 0.3%, sorry, it's 0.03 there, but it's 0.3%. What is going on? Why are we missing? Why is it not 100%? What's happening? This is what we call outlier engagement. Outliers are the things that we say and do that fall outside completely of normal distribution. Here's the thing about outliers. Everybody remembers an outlier. When you go to a restaurant like, oh, that was so good. They fell out of normal distribution and we were within that 0.3%. Here's the problem with sales engagement and how we see people do sales, that they run into problems and challenges. You might think that you're doing something positive. It's not going to be remembered unless it's an outlier. When you leave a business and they say, have a good day, sounds good, right? It's wonderful. No, it's not, because that's normal distribution. And you've heard, have a good day, so many times. It's not working. You start thinking about how you continue, how you engage with people, what you say to people, and how does it fall within normal distribution. Sometimes you could be better. You could fall in the second deviation. Deviation is outside of the normal and ordinary. Sometimes you could go to third deviation. But if you go to outlier, they will always remember it. Always. Because the brain is used to normal distributions of data sets. It hangs on in memory to outlier, 100%. So how do you create outlier behavior in speech? It's saying something that no one else is saying. That's it. Looking at what 95% of people are saying, and you say that on 99.7% of what people are saying, and then you say, we're going to react differently. We're not going to use any of the same terminologies that we hear elsewhere. We're going to say it differently. You know what? We're so grateful that you came in today. It means the world to us. We know you can go anywhere. We'd love to see you again. That is outlier behavior. That is outlier behavior. You go to some hotels, and they will do something so distinct. We were at the Hilton in Orlando. I walked in, there's a little towel folded with every single possible refill that you could have. It was gorgeous, it was beautiful. I think all of us got that in their room. We're like, wow, that's great. It's not because people at hotels haven't refilled your soaps and coffees and all that. It was the presentation. I had never seen it before. Never, ever seen it before. That was outlier behavior in action. Okay, that's my son. He's 11 now. The next thing we're going to talk about is framing effect, and I'll explain to you why. All my children know that he's my favorite. I'm very direct. I have told them, he's my favorite. That's my Bridget Bear right there. They all know. I love him this, and I love everyone else just be underneath, but very close, but they know he's number one. I'm very direct and open. So when I was raising him, there's a certain kind of, I've gotten older as a dad, the kids are like, you were so easy on him. There's no order, no direction. What is going on? We got it harder. So I started thinking, well, how can I manage this? Framing effect is a method of having people respond in a certain way by how you relate them to everything else. I'll talk about my son and I'll talk about the Apple discount real quick. How can I have this kid act in a certain way by relating him to everything else? So I manipulate him. I'm just being honest with you guys. I do love him dearly. If he did something I didn't like, he'd be standing there and say, you know what? Dad loves Brighton. Dad loves Bria. Dad loves Allison. Dad loves Braden. That's all. And I'd walk away, and he understood at 3 and 4 years old, like, no, I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay, Dad loves Bridget too. At 3, 4 years old, he got the concept of being different and associated with the same things, his siblings, and something is wrong here and something is different. And he's like, Dad, I'm sorry. And then he'd grab my leg as I dragged away and tell me how sorry he was and how much he loves me, and I'll stop. I'm like, okay, I'll pick him up. I love you back. It's all good. Yeah, that was basically my parenting. Framing effect. Let's talk about Apple discounts real quick. Apple does not give discounts, period. They just don't. If you happen to get 10% off, man, amen, hallelujah, never getting it again. Imagine all of you for 1 second. In fact, I'll take some of the employees, everyone on my team. Seth, if I gave you a 50% Apple discount, how would you feel? You feel excited? You feel great, right? It's a fantastic day. What did you do to earn that? That's great. Where's Emily? You see Emily, same person on the team, walk through and like run into the mall and be like, oh, you bought the same Apple product too? Oh, that was great. Did you get the 50% discount? And she says, what percentage of discount did you get? 60. How'd you feel about your 50? You're pissed. You have 50% off Apple. Imagine she got 75. You'd go and smash it and be so mad. Run back into the store. How dare you? How dare you? But look, you got 50% off. It's a great deal. But now Seth has framed himself to Emily. They're the same. They're both employees at RevRoad. They both work on the same team. But for some reason, he got 50. They both bought at the same time on the same day. He got 50, and she got, what, 60 or 75. Now he hates himself, feels terrible. This is a negative framing effect position. It's a negative framing effect position. You can also do this positively. I could look to a client and a customer and say, look, a new one. Hey, we closed this deal yesterday. Same kind of firm, same kind of needs, same deal. And today I'm going to give you 10% off. They will jump at that because you have framed them relative to something and someone they understand. Framing effect only works when you're framing similar things. I'm framing my children together. I'm framing our employees together, same time, same moment. If you can frame effectively so someone can see themselves in someone else, someone can relate to someone else, they will jump every time. This is probably one of the most effective sales tools that you could use. Framing clients, customers, close to other people, and showing value and the difference will help you close deals a whole heck of a lot of the time. And I know it sounds crazy, but the mind is arbitrary. When I say the mind is arbitrary, it doesn't understand how to predict value. I'll give you an example. Tipping. There's no book for it. We don't understand it. There's no rule for it. So it makes us all uncomfortable. All of us. All of us are uncomfortable because of tipping. So I go to a place and I'm like, oh, what should I do? I went to my gym once, and in the pro shop where they sell protein and supplements, I saw an employee there that makes them, and his tip jar was empty. And I said, I have an idea. Trust me. Believe this, and see what happens. I want you to take lots of dollars and $5 notes and $10 notes out of the till. Put it in your tip jar. Remember how much you took. I want you to get in trouble in the end. By the end of my workout, he had $65 in tips. What happened? Because people don't know what to tip. But now they frame themselves relatively to every customer there. When they come inside and they see the large tip jar full of bills, it's an indication, framing effect, that, oh, I ought to tip. I ought to tip good. They're $5 and $10 in there. I really have to go out of his way. People really respect this service. One by one, by one, by one. My workouts are about 2 hours. In 2 hours, he had $65 in tips. That's more than $30 an hour. That's framing effect. Start framing people. Don't do this with your kids. I had no recourse. He's so pretty. But if you can master these different, I call them sales methodologies because it is a method. There are different ways to sell. These are surgical methods that work all the time. We're not talking about, oh, try this. We're talking about brain waves, brain science. We're talking about relating people to each other, helping things to be less arbitrary. Closing a deal in sales, it's arbitrary. I don't know what my value is. I don't know whether I should or not. There's no context for it. I don't know what's going on. Is it good? Is it bad? Am I doing better than everyone else? Frame effect, it's one of the fastest things you can do to close a deal because it says, look, I'm similar to this customer. This is the nature of the deals. This is the nature of services that they got, and I am better off. I have time for a couple questions. So if anyone has a question, please. Go ahead. Can we?
Wait, real quick.
With using...
Oh, is it on? The base at the bottom?
Hello?
Okay, good.
Okay.
We're good.
With using people's names, does it kind of just depend on the situation if you're going to use their last name, like at the Ritz, or if you're going to use their first name?
I just think it's using the last name. It works with the outlier methodology. A lot of places use first names, and so it's a more enriching experience because they're remembering it, and you're talking to them in beta.
Yeah.
When I taught at a couple universities for 5.5 years, all of my students, over 2,000 students, I had them write their last name on a tag, and I remembered them. And I talked to them with their last name. I got a call from one of them yesterday. He's a VP at Goldman Sachs now, and he said, I need your advice. We're friends. I talk to him every year. His name is still Mr. Mortimer.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, do you ever look at doing something a little bit less optimally in order to try to take advantage of the outlier effect, like just do something different even if it's maybe not optimal?
No, because here's why. You see, outlier effect, you have the negative standard deviation. That's worse. You can go opposite in the worst way, where you treat people like they've never been treated before. They will remember that. If you treat someone like so terribly, remember, look at that -3 standard deviation right there. Outside of the third standard deviation, you can go both ways. Remember, this is memory. If you cross the path of treating them worse than they've ever been treated before, they'll be like Africans. They'll train your grandkids and grandkids after that to hate you.
I have a question. So if we are, when we're trying to sell to the people, we want them in beta, how do we get into, is it gamma that you're always in? How do we get there so we can sell to them?
I don't know. I think I was born in gamma all the time. I talked to my mother 2 days ago, and she said, you can sell coal to a coal miner, and since you were a baby, you wouldn't stop talking. And so I was, I don't know if that's good or bad, but sometimes it's just biological. Sometimes you have to push yourself. I don't know if it's coffee, energy drinks, I don't know, it's music. I don't know, whatever you have to do to be in gamma. What gamma does, gamma builds intellect and memory. That's what gamma does. So if you want to improve your intellect and memory, be high functioning and under stress all the time. It really drives memory retention as well.
Hey, Ike, quick question over here. Ike, you talked about all these different techniques or tactics. Do you use them all in one setting, or do you pick and choose, and when do you pick and choose?
So there are 5 at RevRoad, Investments and Strategic Partnerships team. There are 5 standard ones we use all the time. We try to engage it with every customer. I only went through 3 here, but we try to engage with every customer every time using all 5, and we check ourselves too. Because think about this from the context of having that continual improvement and every advantage. In sales, you want every single advantage that you can get. You might only get one shot, only one shot. You want to make sure it's the best shot you can possibly have. And we have this thing in our minds, in our team, we only lose once, and we'll never lose again. And in part, we've designed our process to make sure that we only lose once and we never lose again. Any other questions? Well, I really
I feel like AI is always on my mind, and I'm thinking, like, can AI be instructed to do these tactics? Could an AI be a salesperson as good as Ike?
Mm-hmm. I believe so. I genuinely believe so. And you can teach AI to look at a whole data subset of how you greet people when they leave your place, and say, make it better and put it in standard deviation. I think you can do that. I think you can teach AI the context of name and name recognition, last name, that sort of thing. AI, but I don't, to do this, people have to be thinking about AI that way. AI just won't do anything. You have to instruct it. You have to ask it a question. And I don't think that we're there to start thinking of, this is also a function of behavioral economics and behavioral finance. I don't think AI or anyone is really trying to dive deep down in it, but I'm sure a time will come where it will do just that. So good? Oh, I will show you had your hand up. Okay, do you have your hand up? Okay.
I'm seeing that the framing effect can be used in like a proactive way to close deals. Would it also be an effective reactive way to approach those in theta? The reticular activating system, because the brain waves go from delta, alpha, beta, theta. It's the hertz that they're oscillating at. It's easier for it to go from one to the other. So from theta to beta. Now, and that's the RAS that does that.
It's harder for it to go from alpha to gamma. You just wake up like, ah! Like that's a context of stepping through some different cycles. Framing effect. If you're saying, okay, how do you frame? In a way, the easiest way to keep someone from theta to beta is using the name, right? It's just the easiest way. That's not to say that, because every time I do it, you jump from theta back, every single time. You just can't control it, that the brain is designed to hold that pattern. But it's not to say that there aren't other things, that responsive things you can do with framing effect and to keep it in that pattern. You absolutely can. Just the easiest is names. Okay? Well, I appreciate all of you. See me after if you have any other questions, but thank you.
Thank you so much, Ike.